today. Buddy's barn, he has added a wash bay, so we're wiring in a water heater. We've already gone to the main lug and shut power off, come to the sub panel here in the barn. So what we're going to do is pull this off, install a double pole, single throw 30 amp breaker, run wire over and get this water heater wired in. First thing we're going to do is take this plate off. Find something that'll take it off. Drop everything. Alright, so first thing you want to do when you get the panel open, you want to use your sniffer. Check to make sure that there's not any power. No noise, no light, no power, so we're good. We're going to install our Romex connector first.
You want to take that out the side or bottom?
I was just going to come off bottom. There's not one that small on the side. Alright, so for running a water heater, you're going to use 10-2 wire. It is what is advised with the water heater and the instruction manual. You also want to use this, especially because it's a 220 breaker, to make sure you've got enough capacity for the load. Feed this up through your Romex connector. Make sure you give yourself plenty to work with. So what we're going to do on our breaker, we've got 2 lugs on the breaker. You can see them there. We're going to tie into both of those, and then we'll tie into our bus bar here. Strip the sheathing off and back. In this instance, remember, your black and your white, your power, brass is your ground. ½ inch. got to back this screw out so that we can get our ground wire in there. You can see it. Tighten it back down. Now, with these, it does not matter which one you are bringing in. So we're going to take one in here. Make sure it's seated above the bottom plate and under the top plate. Make sure it's good and tight. Same thing on the white. Above the below and below the above. Those are both in good and tight. So now we're going to install the breaker. All right, so we got the breaker put in and everything. Need to make sure that we tighten our Romex connector here just to keep the wire from getting pulled out. Remember to keep it in the middle and not crank it down so tight that it will crimp it. Next thing we got to do, come over here to our water heater and take this top plate off so that we can put our Romex connector on. So here's the thing. We run our wires up like that right there, and then we bring our wire in. Our wire nuts are going to end up being exposed, so we don't want to do that. What we want to do is bring our wire in. We will tie everything together and tuck it down in here so that it's all protected. All right, so we've got our wire ran. Got it through our Romex. Now we're putting our plate back on. Again, remove your sheathing. Make sure you don't nick the wire sheathing itself. Pull all this paper out. Alright, so remember your brass wire is going to be your ground wire. So you're going to put a nice little hook into it. Remember on your hooks when you do it that you want to make sure and put it on clockwise so that the wire will tighten as it's going around the ground screw. So now we've got our power in and our water heater. Black to black. This water heater has a red, but we're going to do red and white together. And then you tuck everything back down in here neatly. You take this plate completely off because you see how it's got that lip. You want that lip to go under right there so that everything is nice and secure. Make sure those are secure. Alright, so these are all put back together. Our wires ran over to our panel. Before we put the cover back on, we want to go ahead and flip the main breaker back on to the sub panel so we can check it. That way if something's wrong, we don't have to pull the panel cover off again and everything else. So we're going to go over, flip that, and we'll be back. Alright guys, so we got the power flip back on. We're going to take our sniffer and check. If you notice when we get close, so we do have power back on. So now we're going to flip the breaker. And we have a water heater up and running. Last thing we'll do is we'll put the panel cover back on. Now that the power is running back to it, you do have to make sure you don't light yourself up. And we're going to actually turn the temperature on the water heater down, just so there's no point in it being scalding hot for watching livestock and everything. So hopefully this was a good one and give you a little bit of basic knowledge on the practical aspects of the things we do in class.